Hey folks, welcome back to BizTalk. In case you're just now tuning in, my name is Rick Gutierrez. I'm your host and your business advocate. And when I tell you that we are having a great time on this show, we definitely are. We've got another subject matter expert in the world of real estate. He has been in real estate for quite some time, so we definitely do call him an expert. And we would like to welcome Mr. Rickey Chavez back to the show. Welcome back, sir.
Hey, Rick, it's good to see you again, man.
Absolutely. It's always a great time having you on the show. You and I always have great conversations about your expertise in real estate. And this conversation is not going to be like any other. We've got a new year that just started. We've got so many things happening in the real estate world. And I think you are just the expert to not only educate me, but everyone listening and everyone watching. So tell us a little bit before we move forward. I mean, for those that don't know you, Rickey, they want to know who is talking, right? Who's on the show. Tell us about you, your business, and what you'd like to share.
I appreciate it. Yeah, my name is Rick Chavez. I'm with Better Homes and Gardens, Gary Green. I'm in the Cypress office. I have a team of 8. We speak 7 languages. We do residential, we do commercial, we do ranch and farm. So, and we also do rentals. So we have an opportunity to serve people in every different facet of real estate. We also deal with investors and just the run-of-the-mill question answers, right? So we have the opportunity right now to just help people achieve home ownership for sure.
Okay, wonderful. Well, we appreciate you enlightening our viewers and our listeners as to who you are and what you do for business. So amazing things. So let's talk a little bit about real estate. I mean, that's your line of expertise, as I mentioned. We've got a new year. It's 2025, man. What is going on in the world of real estate? I mean, I know that there is a lot of education happening, lots of new things happening in the world of real estate. So what is one thing that you feel your buyers could potentially use more of? From what perspective? From your perspective or from a lender perspective?
Well, so it's interesting you say that. Everything's popping off really fast in 2025. A lot of people, I think they've come out of their shell. They waited for the election to get by, and they're trying to figure out, okay, now what do I do? And there's like dipping their toe in the water. The beautiful thing about that is we've been getting a lot of phone calls, and then what we do is we basically listen to kind of what their strategy is, what their goals are, and then we kind of direct them per that goal. One of the big things right now is everybody's concerned about interest rates, and how to finance a house, what the cost of buying a house is going to be. And so I think it's really important that we get them partnered up with a realtor, and not just one. It's I have some of my preferred vendors, my preferred realtors, but I always wanted the individual to talk to at least 1 or 2, because as I was telling you guys earlier, the interesting thing is you can qualify for $400,000 or $400,000 home, yet you see that price and it's like, oh my Lord, that's
Hmm.
not the price I want to pay.
Right.
But when they get qualified for the house, everything's not taken into account. It's not, the cell bills, the grocery, the gas, the maintenance on your vehicles, any student loans in some aspects, just different things. So all of a sudden you get this idea of, oh man, I'm going to qualify for this, but you really don't understand what that looks like. So I always tell everybody the most important thing for them is to come out and decide what a comfortable monthly payment is. And once they get
Right.
that in line, then with the lender, we can help them find the property.
Okay. Fantastic. So education first and foremost in what they can afford and what they cannot afford, and more importantly, not just because you do qualify for a certain price point, that doesn't necessarily mean that you need to buy a house at that price point, right?
Yeah, so we want to make sure that they're not what we call house poor,
Exactly.
living in a castle but driving a buggy. You know what I mean? We want to make sure it all makes sense, that they can feed their families and do all these other things. And there's a lot of things that come into play with that. The other piece is this: a lot of the lenders that I work with, they have these what if scenarios that they can work with. And basically, what those what if scenarios do is, I'll give you an example. I had a young man probably a year ago. He came into some money. He was struggling on debt to income, right? And he had, I think at the time it was a balance of $3,000 on his automobile and $7,000 on his credit card. And he
Okay.
got $7,000. And what he did was pay off his credit card, because he felt it was a bigger balance. However, the car payment was 500 a month. The
Right.
credit card payment was only 150.
Yeah.
So it didn't really affect his debt to income as he thought. So in cases like this, I tell everybody, if you get a lot of money, you need to talk to somebody that does it for a living and let them coach you through how to best use your money and get yourself set up for purchasing a home.
Yeah, absolutely. So, with that being said, the relationship that you, as the realtor, have with a trusted lender that goes through, those processes and in-depth education, financial education, as to what a buyer could potentially agree. I mean, it's crucial, right? I mean, having a partner, a lender at your side that could potentially help you with your buyers is crucial. So now let's switch a little bit, Ricky, to the selling aspect of real estate, right?
Okay.
Let's say you own a home and you're selling. What are some of those, every year is new laws. I mean, we know that TREC sometimes changes laws and new contracts are put in place. Do you foresee that on the selling side? I mean, who's benefiting more now with the changes, particularly in commission now? Who's benefiting more, the buyers or the sellers?
So, okay, so the compensation question is always there, right? But the reality is this: compensation was always negotiated.
Yep,
And
I
the
agree.
big deal that everybody made out of the change in August wasn't really that big of a deal because when you sat down with the seller, now understand this: when I walk into a seller's house, my fiduciary responsibility is to the seller. So I'm going to explain to them everything, what the benefits of paying a realtor that brings in the buyer, what the benefits of using myself and my team to market their property, the whole aspect. But it's really not any changes. So, so funny thing about it is I put an offer in today, and the listing agent basically told me, the seller's not paying any compensation to the buyer's agent. I said, fine, okay. And my buyer signed a buyer's rep saying that they would compensate me for
Mhm.
my due diligence and my work effort for them in buying the home. In the offer, we requested that part of the offer is we will pay you X and you will pay the compensation to the buyer's agent, which means myself.
Right.
So everything's negotiated, the whole 9 yards. A lot of people, you know, understand there's three negotiations in any kind of a transaction that has to do with real estate. You negotiate the price, you negotiate the repairs, and then you negotiate the appraisal. But in today, you negotiate compensation. That
You're
makes number
right.
four.
Yeah, you're right because it really did surprise me as well because this one thing about now having to negotiate, it's always been a negotiation. Nothing's changed.
Understand?
It's just that now
Nope.
it's on the forefront of everything, but it's always been very negotiable. So with changing interest rates and market trends, how do you guide your clients in making smart long-term real estate decisions? I mean, interest rates can go up and down, but I do also know that if someone waits for the rates to drop, you're actually losing on building equity on your home. So tell us your advice.
I
What do
love
you
that
what do you tell your
question.
buyers?
No, I love that question because if you are renting, you're paying 100% interest.
Right.
You think about it, right?
Hmm.
So you have to follow and partner with the right lending institutes. Again, I know that I work with one of my lenders has a program. It's called Rate Rebound. In the first 5 years, after the first 6 months of the closed contract, they can refinance up to so many times at a minimal cost. So, for example, I bought a house in June, right? In December, I started getting all the messages. You know, okay, you are eligible to use your rate rebound. However, the interest rates haven't changed enough for me to do so, but they keep letting me know until it makes sense. Because you know, everybody's financial situation is different. But unless it's going to go down between 0.5% or 1% or more, there's really no, it makes no sense in um, refinancing a property.
Right.
And I have multiple properties, so I want to make sure that it makes sense for me financially. But going back to your question, um, get with a lender that makes sense. The other piece is, you know, the amount of houses out there are starting to move up. There's been an increase in inventory over the month of January, so a lot of things are going out there, and but a lot of the sellers do not want to do contingencies. So they're also the lenders have bridge loans where you can actually buy the house and do a recast after you bought it, which means once you sell your house, you drop a good amount of money down and it recasts your payments, which
Right.
is beneficial to you. So there's a lot of ways for you to get what you want that makes sense if you put the right team around you, which
Yep.
means the lender, the realtor, the
Absolutely.
inspector, the whole
I
team.
couldn't,
The whole
I
team.
couldn't agree more. Now, would you say now with more inventory out there and interest rates being a little lower, do you still consider it to be a buyer's market or a seller's market at this moment?
So I don't know that it's in markets either way. I think right now, some of the sellers are realizing that um, they needed revisit their listings price,
Hmm.
you know. It goes back to when I sold my house in Bridgeland years back, and I wasn't a realtor, my wife was, and she said, "Hey, Ricky, you know," and she said she listed the house. I'm like, "Why are you giving my house away? I should be worth more." And
Yeah.
I hear that so often, and you know, the house is worth what somebody's willing to pay for it, right? Um, but sometimes all the things you've done to it, like you put a new roof on it, it's great, but it doesn't change the value. It
Right.
makes it more appealing, but it doesn't change the value.
Right.
So there's a lot of conversations that you have to have with somebody, and you have to go with somebody you trust. Um, because we're not trying to give your house away, but we don't want your house to sit out there for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Ricky, you know that when we're having great conversations, time flies, and we have come to the end
Sure.
of this segment, but I don't want to leave this segment here for you without you giving us and our viewers an opportunity to know how those that are listening that want to get in touch with you, how do they do so?
Perfect. Ricky Chavez. I'm with Bed Homes and Gardens, Gary Green. You see my website at rickeychavez at garygreen.com, or you can call me 832-541-7545. My email's at the bottom. So first name spelled with an EY and Green has an E at the end. You can find me and my team, and we're here to help you and ready to serve.
Awesome, Ricky. We appreciate you being on the show and educating us a little bit more every single time that you're here. We can't wait to have additional conversations on future episodes. So thank you for being here.
Hey, thanks for taking the time. Have a
All
great day.
right, my friend. Thank you for being here. All right, folks, we have come to the end of this segment, but we're going to be right back with another subject matter expert. So stick around. We'll be right back.